if you said we're not Zulu, right? Go study the 5 or 6 main tribes that were taken into captivity around the time Islam entered into Africa, as well as the Catholic Church, right? What is their main DNA haplogroup? E1B1A. So like there are Africans that are not you. That is a fact, that don't share the same lineage, but there's a whole West Coast of people who do share same lineage. And that's the thing. When we started making disparaging remarks towards other black people and making that, like, you know what I mean, it's just weird because from afar nobody can tell the difference. Now, you don't have to love every single other black person, and yeah, you can think highly about yourself and stuff like that, but it's to the point where we're kind of alienating ourselves from doing business and forming community with other black people who do have things to offer and who do want to do business with black people and have the intelligence, the capability, you know what I mean, the monetary resources to do business with African Americans. So it's like although I do agree, can you just mute your mic light for just a second? You about to get the mic. Self-control is a virtue. Please. I'm trying to learn it too. Y'all the men. So the fact of the matter is that, you know, it's just the weird comparisons, because the reality of it is that as much things that have gone on in America as well, the other places in the world are still going through their own levels of colonization. Your case is extremely unique due to chattel slavery, right? And the 400 years or so in this land where you had to deal with systemic oppression and racism. But it's not the only case, right? We have Brazil that has a very strict racial structure. We even have places like India with a caste system where their darker skinned people are literally at the bottom. It's not to say that it's not, you know what I mean? So it's just like we have to kind of like, the moral of the story that the way to circumvent the oppressor is for all melanated people around the world to realize their power and that they're more similar than they are different. It's not that you aren't great. You are great. But it's just weird to be like, we're the best, we're the smartest, we're this. All black is beautiful, man. All black is beautiful. And there's a lot of intelligent black people in Africa, in South America, in Asia as well. Very beautiful races as well. So I mean, we're all beautiful, we're all smart, and we all need to work together to circumvent the real problem, which is the fucking ignorance. Go ahead, Life. Go ahead. It's yours.
Yeah, no, cool finish. So you live in Africa, right? So when you go to the village and that, right, in Africa, yeah, do people identify themselves as black, or do they say you're a man or a woman? I'll answer the question. Man or a woman, because everyone out there is the same.
He was asking Melissa, not you. He was asking Melissa.
Wait, what'd you say? I didn't hear that last time.
You don't live in America, right?
I'm in America, right?
Okay, so but you live in Africa also, yeah?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Right, okay. So when you go to Africa, yeah, do you say I'm a black American woman? Do you say that to people or no?
No, it's only American. There's no black identity of blackness over there.
Right, okay. Okay, point proven it. Cool.
Here's where I was trying to go. I'm being very so this is where I was trying to go to. I wasn't trying to turn it into a controversy. So every group of people have a uniqueness that should be celebrated, and they do celebrate it, because I love, when I went to Senegal in '96, I had a good time over there. I love the culture. I spent time in Ghana, like got some friends over there, right? I'm still friends with them to this day, and I love just the way they are, the uniqueness, all the beautiful things that are part of their language, their family traditions. I love it, and I love that it's authentic to them. I love Brazil. Brazil have a unique Afrocentric, African connection to their history. Very different. Jamaica, very different than Barbados or whatever. All these uniqueness are while we are all one people, there's a uniqueness that we recognize and respect and celebrate, right? When I go to Jamaica, I don't go to Jamaica looking to be a Black American. I want the Jamaican experience. That's a whole nother language, another way of rhythm, movement, cooking food. You know, the way they laugh and joke, the way they talk to each other is that uniqueness. So what I'm saying is because we were descendants of slaves off a plantation, we have a uniqueness over here as well too, right? And we try to celebrate that every year with our food, our language, our nuances. That distinguishes us from all these other groups, which gives us a culture distinction, right? Not better, right? But inclusive, right? Because in Charleston, where I'm from, we speak a certain dialect that sounds so similar to the Barbados patois, right? So New Orleans, what's up, baby? Everybody has a uniqueness that they celebrate, right? So when I said that about Black Americans have a unique.
That place in South America.
Yeah, South Carolina. But listen, yeah, South.
So you know that South.
But let me finish. So what I'm saying, I didn't present this to be in competition with South Africans or Black Britain. This not a no. Listen, I'm telling you what I'm doing now. So don't tell me what I'm doing. I'm telling you what I'm doing. What I'm doing is actually celebrating. I'm celebrating uniqueness. So when I thought about the uniqueness.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
You don't know it.
Old.
Has roots.
Let it go because it's not that serious. He had a question, he was interested in it, and he was just trying to figure out. And I get what you're
A perfect being.
Yeah, I agree. There was no evil in the world that God created. It was perfect, bro. What are you talking about? You don't understand the God.
The point is that there's evil in the world, and he's omnipotent, right? So he's all powerful. So time is irrelevant. Doesn't matter what time it is in the world, right? Evil existing at any time in the world is unexpected.
No, you're taking too much on yourself. No, you're getting like into realms that you don't need to be getting into.
Okay, well, do you think that the team from the perfect cake baker is gonna tomorrow is gonna part of it's gonna turn into fecal matter or something?
No, that's not.
Not right.
Sorry. The problem came in from us. That's what the problem. It didn't come from God. It came from us. Okay? I don't think.
Okay, were we perfect?
Yes, we were.
Okay, then why did a problem come from us if we were
You don't want to say that, Stone.
What do you mean I don't? Andrew. Okay, Andrew, you are.
Don't say that.
Blasphemy.
You said exactly what
We're good. He didn't say that we were perfect.
But you see, like, I understand what he's saying, Andrew. When he says perfect, he means like without flaw. That's like without evil. Let's just say without evil, like there was no evil in the world. That's fine. That's how I'm reading it, right? But the point is that, like, the point is that if you were good, you're saying, like, well, look, evil showed up because of us, but you're saying, like, we were very, very good. So why did evil show up because of us?
Again, why are people trying to say tell me or say what I'm saying? What I'm saying is what I said. We were created perfect. Right?
And where did evil come from then?
I'll answer that. So, well, first of all, the question of evil that's a whole nother topic. But
that's what we're talking about. It's problem of evil. What do you mean? We're going to hold that argument. No, that's all. No. Yes, that is what we are talking about right now.
I'll be so happy if you said it, but say, listen, the whole thing about evil, let's put a pin in that, let's table that for a couple hours. We're gonna come back to it.
The argument is called the problem of evil. Like, remember the whole, like, cake thing I said, and the fecal matter is the evil, and
That was one of my favorite things I've heard from you, Stone. That was awesome, bro.
You're like, bro, you said that, like, the world is, okay, let's say, like, perfect ID, like, there's no evil at first, right? So first there's no evil, right? And we're not evil at all, right? But then somehow evil comes from us somehow. How's that happen? Why did that happen? Just cause. It's like, oh, just cause, I guess. Like, you know, they just did it. Because they were just evil.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already evil in Genesis anyway, because the serpent is evil.
Yeah, because
Is the serpent evil before Adam and Eve eat the fruit? Like, I assume he is.
was Lucifer perfect when God created him? Because he's the first sinner, right? But if you say that he is perfect, why is a perfect being sinning? That's kind of weird. You see?
okay, you guys having a convo amongst yourselves? Is that what you're doing?
You're responding to you, bro.
You're talking for me before I even get a chance.
He's asking you something in response to what you said.
Yeah. But it's okay, brother. Stone, say whatever you want to say, brother. Say whatever you want to say.
Go ahead, man.
Okay, you said everyone created at the beginning was perfect. That would include Lucifer. Lucifer being perfect being. Why did Lucifer say he's perfect? That doesn't make any sense to me. But go ahead. I'll listen. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Alright, cool. You sure?
Yes, shutting up now.
I'm going back to the whole, to where we were at, this whole, the K-Rock, the Maker, and the Earth, okay? Yeah, as I was saying, like the problem came from us. With our perfection came something that God decided to give us, which is free will. Therein lies the problem that you're searching for, Mr. Sully, okay? It's not with God, again, it's with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
But then, wait. But even if we have free will, right? Like, let's say we have libertarian, like the most robust of the free will.
You guys are making a position out of nothing.
Just listen. We have. Let's say we have like the most robust. Can you just listen, Brandon? Okay. All right.
If you could
We have the most.
right. But go ahead.
I am. I'm responding to you brought up free will as there being. Okay. So let's say we have the most robust kind of free will that you can think of. You know. So we really have this like fully free choice. You know, to act as like a first cause of different possible actions. You know. Okay. Think about how you have a free choice to do something incredibly disgusting to you, right? So you have a free choice to, you know, go and swim in raw sewage right now if you want to, okay? Like, you could go make that happen, right? You might get arrested or something, but I don't know. But you could make that happen if you really tried, okay? And the point is that, yeah, you're free to do that. You have the free will capacity to do that, but I wouldn't expect you to do that right now, right? Like, I don't know, I think you seem relatively sane. I don't think you would decide to go and swim in raw sewage. And so the point is, like, even if we have free will, if we are very, very, very good beings, right, then doing evil, right, then even the idea that even with free will, it's still incredibly unexpected that you would do evil things.
I agree. We agree, bro. We have no argument. I completely 1000% agree with that. That's why there's a problem with sitting out. Like I said, we could be here for days discussing that. No one knows where.
So then, but then the point is that it makes. So this is the point. It makes evil very unlikely on your view, which means that the evil we see in the world counts as evidence against your view.
What? Well, hold up.
It's incredibly unlikely on this view that there's a perfect being, right? So there's this evil we've agreed is very unlikely.
Hold on, Sully. Go ahead.
You just agreed that it's incredibly unlikely if we were.
Go slow with me, bro. Just go. Let's take it back. Now say that again slowly. Come
You
again.
said that you agreed that if we are really, really, really good beings, you said perfect, but I'm just going to say very good. Okay, so that little piece of Andrew, that's what it says in the Bible. Okay, it says very good, it doesn't say perfect. So okay, so if we are very, very good beings, okay, it doesn't say perfect, it says very good. But like, look, anyway, the point is that if we're very good beings, then yeah, even if we have really robust free will, right? You understand the like swimming in raw sewage example that I just gave you.
Yes.
It's very unexpected that such beings would do evil things, even though they have free will. Now, okay, the next step is this means that your explanation for evil is a free will choice that is very unlikely on the view. Right now, hold on. And that means that the existence of evil in the world is unexpected according to your hypothesis. And that means that it's evidence against your hypothesis.
How so? This is where you're losing
Because on the hypothesis you're promoting, we would not expect to see evil, but we do see evil, and so it counts against the hypothesis. Just like how evidence works. You're saying, like, if my theory is true, right, then evil is very unlikely, and it turns out, oh, well, there's a lot of that. Okay?
So because something is unlikely, that means it won't be? Like, what are you talking about?
If I
You're going too fast. This is what I'm telling you, slow down, bro. You're going too fast. This is why you're confused. What you're saying don't make any sense, but you think it does.
Yeah, Sully, shut up. A perfect being, Stone.
Andrew.
What? I just told Sully to shut up. He's going too fast. He's blabbering.
Fuck you, Andrew.
But listen, here's what I was going to say, Stone. Listen, this will be real chill. Ready? So he created...
This is Andrew, real quick. No. Because this is turning into silliness, bro.
It's not silly. Can I say one thing? God created perfect beings, okay? He is perfect, okay? God doesn't sin. How do you explain that God has free will and he doesn't do evil ever and never will? But us, being perfect, also chose evil. How do you
God has free will. See, this is what I'm saying. You guys keep saying these things and making these assumptions and just flying right past them.
You don't think God's perfect.
What do you mean God has free? What is that you ascribing human attributes?
I'll tell you. Do you think God had to create?
No, Andrew, this is not topic. What are you doing, man? This is completely off topic. No. We didn't know whether God has free will.
Yeah, you guys.
John Kitover County Congressman podcast. Something good.
So, look, it's not about whether God has free will.
I don't know why that was.
Andrew, forget about this pedantic thing about perfection. I already tried to push us aside.
Here's why it's brought up.
No, but I know, but he doesn't mean that anyway, so it doesn't matter. He just means the thing that says in the Bible. Okay, but you use the word. You're breaking it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. It's fine.
The point is that, okay, we were good, right? His explanation, theodicy, is like a free will theodicy. He's saying that the explanation for evil is that we had free will. Okay, so like, he didn't come from God. God made the world. Very good, whatever.
So you guys are gonna
See, this is the problem, is that you're only getting through the first, clause of the sentence.
You're wrong. I'm gonna tell you why I'm doing that, because you're wrong. Everything afterwards is gonna be wrong. if the foundation is
Okay,
wrong,
what's wrong? What's wrong?
everything built on top of it is going. We're not.
Yeah, what did I say that was wrong?
Can you please? The problem is not that we have free will. That's not the problem. That's what you just
I
said.
didn't say problem. I said it was the explanation for why evil exists that you are.
Yeah, and that's wrong. It's not.
That's what defining is wrong. That's what you said.
Because
This is
you're
John
not
Kitover, Canada Congressman Podcast. Go to John4Congress.com. You're listening to people debate theology on Clubhouse. It's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? But this is what it's like. People completely incapable of having a conversation.
That is what you said. That is what you said.
I can tell you what I said. You don't have to get excited, bro. Right?
I don't need you to. Okay, all right. Wait, I'll go with whatever you say right now. Okay, I'll forget about what you said before. Go ahead. Say it.
You're making it seem like free will. Jesus, I gotta give up, man. You
got this.
Quiet, like
You interrupted me, right? Like I was in the middle of a sentence and you stopped.
I know.
So you better give me something. You interrupted. I lost my train of thought of what I was saying. So you better have something right now. Let's go.
I bet I'm up against it. So he's got the gun in my head.
Okay, so I'll go. All right, look. So here's what I was saying, right? You're saying that evil exists because we have free will, and we decided to do evil. Okay, well, what the fuck are you saying then?
Okay, that's wrong. Evil doesn't exist because we have free will. Evil
Okay, why does evil exist? Why does evil exist?
You gotta be quiet and then you'll hear it. Sully, this is your problem. You're not listening. Evil exists because we chose evil. That's why it doesn't exist because there's free will. Evil exists because we chose it.
Well, presumably we chose it with our free will, right? Like I don't understand. Choice and free will. Choice and free will are heavily interrelated with one another. So no, I don't understand the distinction you're drawing at all. It seems like you are just appealing to free will. So
He just want to hear himself talk. That's all.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there are other speakers on the stage. I'd like to address the topic at some point when you gentlemen are finished, talking over each other.
Is this our job? Hold on, this is John Kitover.
This is candidate John running in the 16th district against Darren LaHood for Congress.
Are you actually running for Congress? Pretty weird pictures. It seems like you might actually be doing it, which kind of scares me, John. If you actually start governing anywhere, I would be pretty concerned.
You know why I'm doing that? Because you're wrong. Afterwards, it's going to be wrong.
Okay.
anyway, I'll just give that. Hold on, John. Anybody who does, listen, don't mute your goddamn mic, okay? Anybody who does get into the free will defense, which is not you, no, close your microphone. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about anybody who does. You should mute us so I can make this fucking point here, please. Hello? Yes, thank you. Okay.
I'm just saying, there's no.
Motherfucker. I'm in the middle of talking. Okay?
Bro, you don't even talk to me like that, bro. You really don't.
I'm not talking to you. I was making a point about fucking people who give the free will defense. Can I just make my point, please? I'm not talking to you anymore. Is that okay? Like, Jesus Christ. Okay, so the people who give the free will defense. The point is that, if we are very, very good in the beginning, okay, it's not expected that very, very good people are going to do evil things, even if they have free will. So they can have robust free will, okay? As robust as you want to make it, right? And the point is that, yeah, you have that kind of free will towards doing all kinds of stuff, okay? If you're never going to, you have not an inkling to even think about it, okay? And so for very, very good creatures, this is what we would expect. And so, the narrative has the serpent coming in for doing, Judeo-Christian Genesis stuff, okay? And it seems like evil already exists before the fall of Adam and Eve in that story, unless you want to say the serpent is which that's the more interesting version of the story. But, it seems like evil already exists. So, like, somebody already, does Lucifer have free will, or Satan, or whatever, the serpent, so is that all free will? And then the point is just like, okay, God wants to make creatures who have free will. I mean, he's a perfect being. I'm still expecting creatures, like even conditional on he's going to make creatures who have libertarian free will. I'm still not expecting them to do evil things. You know?
And again, we agreed on that point, bro. I was there with you. But then you do something else in the mixed bag.
Yeah, and I'm saying once you agree to all that, then evil is really unexpected on your hypothesis.
I still agree with you. It is unexpected.
Okay, but then when we see evil, then it's evidence against the hypothesis. That's literally that.
You didn't want them to you. You're doing it to me.
So you're already accepting the whole argument, though, man. Because you're just like
what you didn't want them to you. All right, control that, bro. Like, dang. But again, like I said, I agree with you 1,000% with that. All right, but nevertheless, though it's unexpected, it is. It exists. It's there. Now, what you ought to do, not what we ought to do.
It's evidence against the hypothesis. That's the point.
Instead of keep going around in circles saying yes, unexpected, so then never, it doesn't prove anything. What we ought to do is try to figure out why it's there. That would be
if I did, look, think about it like this, right? I have a hypothesis, and it's that Bob, got murdered yesterday. Okay. Is it likely that we would see Bob walking around tomorrow on that hypothesis?
No, it's not just
right. Okay. Now, if we saw Bob walking around, let's say tomorrow we get together and we see Bob walking around, is that evidence against the hypothesis that he was murdered?
I would say so, yeah.
Right. So that's like the principle here. So it's saying, okay, you're agreeing that this thing is really unexpected if your hypothesis is true, and then we see it, and we go, oh, this is evidence against that hypothesis.
No, but how is the evidence because something is
unexpected? Hypothesis is totally evil, and at this point,
do you remember the cake?
We can still
the baker and the cake, and how you said that would, if you got a cake that had poop in it, then it's evidence against the baker being a perfect baker.
Well, we never got to that point. See, the first thing we got to was like, okay, so that's a good example to turn back to, because the way I framed it is, would you expect there to be fecal matter? He said no. But like, let's say I give you a cake, right, and it does have fecal matter, right? Then you're going to think, hey, you said this guy was a perfect cake baker, but that must be false, because, at least this is evidence that that's not true, right?
Exactly.
Okay, good. Then we agree on like everything here, man. So like the point is just that evil is evidence against, perfect being.
No, it's not, because those examples don't match up, bro. And by the way, is it perfect?
Everything is literally the same. It's literally the same thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
The structure of the inference is exactly the same. Right? So here's the hypothesis. It's a perfect, in one case you have a perfect cake baker, in the other case you have a perfect being, and then instead, we have fecal matter instead of evil. Okay, we're saying, when we extract the fecal matter, no. We found the fecal matter. Oh, that's evidence against this perfect cake baker hypothesis. And it's the same thing. It's like we find the evil, and it's evidence against the perfect death.
The cake doesn't have agency. That's the problem with the whole thing. It's not the same at all.
But I guess you agree about free will, bro.
His ego won't allow him to get it. He's fighting against his ego right here. Not lying.
Like doing like the personal attacks instead of actually doing like the logical stuff on us. Fucking annoying.
Thank you. No, I think Mr. No, I think he's agreeing with me.
Yeah, I do agree with him. This is just A-Walk. A-Walk is mad because he was adopted by monkeys. And he's mad.
A-Walk thinks you're agreeing with the other guy. That's the issue.
Yeah, because he's not tracking very well.
A-Walk is just trying to keep things civil instead of us turning into a bunch of dumbasses. That's what he's trying to do.
I mean, I get what you get to.
Personally, we try to have a discussion. But if we want to get
down,
I'll just be quiet.
Now,
I want to get
so are we talking about JDS
It sounded like, look, I'll just say this and then I'll let you talk. I'll just shut up. It seems to me like you just agreed with like every step of the argument. And then the idea is like, you just don't agree with the part at the end where I say like, okay, and so this is evidence, right? And then you go, no. And it's kind of like the Patrick SpongeBob, or sorry, the Patrick and Man Ray meme, or whatever, where he's like showing him the license, and he's like, okay, so it has your name on it, right? And he's like, yep. And it's like, okay, so and it has your name on it, that means that it's yours, right? It's like, yeah. And it's like, okay, so it's yours. It's like, no, it's not. You know, it's kind of like that sort of thing here, because you're saying yes, it's very unexpected on the hypothesis, and you're even agreeing like with the other inferences where it's like, you know, if I would expect not to find this, if the hypothesis were true, and I do find it, then that's evidence against. You know.
I got you.
Even speech against
Do you want us to get to like an understanding of something? I can do that. If that's what you want, or you just want to, I don't know exactly what you're seeking here, but let me try, okay? Cool. All right, what is it you want me to understand? How about walk me through this step by step, I guess.
I gave you a response to like the free will idea, and I gave you responses to.
So in other words, what you're saying
the other ideas you brought up. So.
God can't be real because there's evil in the world. That's ultimately the.
It's an evidence. So I'm giving you the evidential version, which is just to say, like, look at all this evil. You know, look at all these fucking evil people doing evil shit for centuries, if not millennia of evil. And also, you know, I don't know if you're a young earther or whatever, but you know, okay. So since about 4000 BC, there's been about, okay, so I'm just starting to count from like 4000 BC then, right? There's been about 105 billion humans. Well, no, 4000 BC is 6,000 years from today, right?
4000 BC is 6,000 years. Okay, all right, cool, yeah, correct.
So we got about 105 billion people. If they were to live an average of 40 years each and suffer for 15% of their lifespan, then you would get 630 billion years of human suffering time. So there has been like an absolutely immense degree of both human and animal suffering, even if we're using younger dating. Okay. That is all just like incredibly unexpected. If we would not expect to see that kind of thing, you know, on a perfect being hypothesis, at least a priori. And so the point is that the fact that we see that is evidence against the hypothesis.
Okay, well, we would not expect to see that on a perfect being? Is that what you said? On a perfect being?
If there is a perfect being.
Well, if there is a perfect, we would not expect it. What if that perfect being decided to give us a free choice to do whatever we want to do? How about if he presented to us, he respected and loved us enough to be like, okay, I've created you, I give you your own agency. Here's the way to life, here's the way to death. If you do X, here's what awaits you, blessings and all that. If you do Y, you got death, here's what awaits you. And here it is, choose wisely. Would that be a cool thing for a perfect being to do? What you think that would be the most coolest for a perfect being? Wouldn't that like raise him up to glory in your eyes as far as his perfection is concerned? Right? And if then,
I'm confused by that way.
If then these same beings, with all that in front of them, they chose why? Would that be the being's fault?
Wait, I'm sorry. So, are you asking me, would it be the being's fault if one of the agents that they created chose to do evil?
Chose what? I can't hear you. What was the last part?
Okay. Are you asking? Okay. I'm not necessarily saying that it's God's fault that Adam.
That's exactly what you're saying. What are you talking about?
No.
Okay. I'm hearing you wrong, then, my bad, because that's what I'm getting from what you're saying.
No, because all I'm saying is that it's unexpected, not that God is blameworthy.
And I agree with that. I agree with the unexpected part, 1,000%.
Right, but that's enough to make it evidence against them. So the point is that, like, if you tell me there's a perfect, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good God, okay, and he's going to create a universe, okay, just like in the cake baker case where I say, okay, I have a very low credence that there's going to be any shit in this cake. Right, very low credence on that. Okay. On the hypothesis that there's a perfect being, tri-omni being, creating a universe. Okay. Evil is very unexpected. You know, immense suffering is very unexpected. something I expect not to find on that hypothesis, right? And so then when we find it, it counts as evidence against. Just like if we found shit in the cake, we'd be like, this guy's not a perfect cake baker. He's like a shit cake baker.
And that's it, Sully, full stop. It's only evidence that this guy isn't a perfect baker, just like it's only evidence that we chose to
no, but that's, oh my God, the hypothesis is that he's perfect. Okay, look, the hypothesis is that a perfect baker exists.
That's the problem. You refuse to listen.
Again.
It's only evidence.
It's not about saying that there still would be a God, okay? It's not about saying, there would just be a bad God, right? It's saying the hypothesis says that there's a perfect being, right? And this counts as evidence against.
But how does it say this not a being? How is the fact that we chose evil evidence against the fact that there is not a God? How does that work? That's the connection. Okay, when it's something so
I've explained the free will thing. Even on a free will account, right? It's incredibly unexpected. That's not what we would expect.
I don't want you to get exasperated, bro. It's cool. I'm just gonna say for the record.
If I had to play the bet, if you said like, hey, God created a guy, and the guy he created, okay, right? He has libertarian free will, and you were like, okay, what credence do you assign that he's gonna go swim in the raw sewage? Oh, like pretty much none, because you said he's like, you made him a really good, upstanding guy who's like reasonable, who would know better, okay. And that's going to apply to like everything. Hey, you think he's going to eat the apple? No, he's not going to eat the apple. What do you mean? I'm going all in on he's not going to eat the apple. I just got dealt, pocket aces. I'm going all in.
Sully, homie, don't we do dumb shit every fucking day, but yet we know better?
Yeah,
Sully, of all the people that ask that question, it shouldn't be fucking human beings. We do dumb shit every fucking second.
All right, what's the point of this conversation at this point? Like, is there a goal here? What are you guys even discussing at this point? And, you just keep repeating yourselves. This is ridiculous at this point.
What do you got for us, John? What would you like to see? Don't troll, John, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the best reasons for God is intelligence. The divinity or the divine, Lord is super intelligent. So theism, all this religious debate, it all deals with intelligence and super intelligence. So the best reason for God is clearly exhibited in the highest levels of intelligence. And what you just witnessed is someone trying to explain to another person how the English language works, and that person rejected everything that person said, and they talked over each other. There's no intelligence here. It's a typical Andrew room. But God deals with divine intelligence, and I can assure you, everything you just witnessed was a waste of time, completely and utterly. And that's why I have a recording of it in another room called Conversational Hypnosis. Super stupid waste of time. Thanks for contributing to my content collection efforts, everybody.
I forgot this is the guy that does that. Anyway, Andrew, you should let me run this on you because I don't think you're a good response to this either. You're kind of just sitting here stewing in this guy's defeat. Andrew just sitting here going damn, this guy hasn't even learned yet.
I'm not saying that. I think it can count as evidence. That's fine.
Okay, but there's a lot.
Not cool, bro. I got a great response to it.
I mean, is it more like,
did you hear the thing about the 630 billion years of human suffering?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, not me.
Sorry, I do think there's some mitigation to all that, though. So, I mean, I don't think it's just flat out no good explanations for it, So, I mean, I do think the sheer scale and maybe the quality of the suffering.
You think he could have taken off maybe a billion years? So maybe 10 of those in 630 billion years?
If he had, would you know it? You know what I mean? So I do think that he has.
Oh my God.
I think he has.
I mean, that's a low ball estimate, by the way. If you do more reasonable estimates, it's over 1 trillion years. It's crazy. Well, no, you also like younger creationism, so.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. If you like younger creationism, it helps you a bit here. Caleb, wouldn't you want to say here?
Not really, because it's still 630 billion years at 15. Okay, that's assuming average lifespan 40 years, 105 billion people since 4000 BC, and 15% of your life is suffered, which is pretty remote.
So, my question for you is this. If the recipients of the suffering, or the victims of it, let's say, still see God as good, in spite of that, predominantly, and they don't blame him, quote unquote, for it, right? They're able to
but see, you get that the argument I was just running had nothing to do with blaming, right? It was just that it's something you wouldn't expect. It's the same as, it's not even just like, I shouldn't even just phrase it as unexpected or wouldn't expect, it's that you expect not to, right? Which is like the cake baker case, right? Like, it's like, yeah, perfect cake baker, I'm not expecting there to be like, feces in here. And it's the same kind of thing here. It's like, okay, perfect being, creating a world, creating beings, creating libertarian agents. How many chips am I putting on? It's going to be I'm putting a lot of chips on, putting almost all of my chips on. Yeah, if it's a perfect being, omnipotent, all-knowing, creates, the best stuff, basically. But I'm expecting it to be all good. I'm not expecting to find any shit,
Right, but for them to put feces in it, so to speak, or to make feces in the cake, right? Because let's say they're the ingredients of the cake, and they're making feces in the cake.
What's with all these examples of shit pies and crap cakes?
But then you put little rapscallions in the cake who are gonna make shit. See, the point is that even if the cake baker was gonna put these little rapscallions in there who had the libertarian capacity to make shit inside the cake, right? You would expect the ones he picked to be like very unlikely to do that, right? Like that's kind of the point. Like the things that he creates, even if they have libertarian, like again, you get that whole, you don't have any inclination to go swim in raw sewage, unless you have like total free. You could totally go do that right now. Like you have all the free will in the world to go and do that, and they did it on Jackass.
Yeah.
So you can I think RFK did it too, so I think you definitely could do it if you want.
I think our conversation, this conversation is leading to where our last one did, Sully, where I ended up saying that I would gobble up a whole bowl of feces to get to the candy bar.
Yeah, but see, that's where we mounted.
You would eat a bowl of shit to get to a Snickers bar?
I know you would need shit to get a candy bar, but like, I'm just taking for example of something you wouldn't do then. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff where you're like, yeah, it's like I wouldn't even think of that, and now that you present it to me, like hell no, I would never do that. So that's kind of the point. It's like all the evil shit that they could have done could have been like that.
Again, this is funded in Congress.
Having eaten
that, by the way, I mean, like, so like from their perspective, it's like why the fuck would I ever do anything? What? Yeah, I could. Why would I do it?
But I think in spite of the strong draw is part of why faith pleases God and why it is a genuine relationship.
Why is there a strong draw?
Because, well, there's a strong draw.
That's like the whole point, right? God wouldn't create you with a strong draw to do evil.
God wouldn't create with a strong draw to do evil. So I think
that makes no sense.
I would think it would be just the nature of being.
It's obviously a bad thing, right?
Well, no. Well, the draw doesn't have to necessarily be like something you are constructing. It can just be the nature of it.
If you have a nature towards being
nature of being and conscious and doing senses, and you're able to.
That's all neutral. Right? We don't have any predilection towards doing evil. Why wouldn't you? Why would you? Like, if anything, like, the best thing you want to shoot for here is, like, well, for some reason, you had to make it 50-50. That seems like, that doesn't seem very advisable. In light of all this other stuff, that we're not, like, 50-50.
I don't think I would go straight down the middle, but I would definitely say, because I think that God needs to give sufficient reasons.
Why would God want to give us reasons to do evil things?
I think you would want to put us in a world in which we would choose the good in spite of the reasons to do evil.
But why would he ever give us? Why would there? Where are these reasons for doing evil coming from? Why are there these reasons?
Yeah, that's good. I think it's going to be part of like cashing out what it means to just exist, like putting beings in an environment in which they can interact with one another freely, and the ideas surrounding what it means to love, what it means to be generous and kind, and all these things. There has to be like the opposite, the end of the spectrum. I think that
In a bad way of using it.
that doesn't even make any sense though, solely because
I mean, first of all, you know how Sasha pushes back on the goofballs and the design arguments where they're like, well, do you know anything that's not designed? You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Design is still sensible even if everything's not right. So it's like, it's the same kind of thing here. Good is still like perfectly transparent even. There's and that has to be the case because like, God isn't like deprived of there being bad things. Like it's not like he doesn't understand. So like,
what I'm saying is freedom is part of good. Freedom is part of good. It's inherent with what it means to be good.
That's fine. I'm fine saying freedom is good. But again, I'm giving you all of that stuff. Right? Okay. It's like I'm giving you the most robust kind of free will, and I'm not waiting out for what people do. Right. For what I'm saying is, right, what I would expect him to make are people who not only are they not like susceptible to reasons for doing bad things, because I don't even know where those reasons are coming from in this picture, but like they're actually inclined to do good because they're just good, like they're good people, right? I would expect you to make very good people who, with their libertarian free will, like I'd be very surprised to find out that they did bad things,
I can help with this problem, but go ahead, Andrew.
So sex is pleasurable, Sully, right? But not all sex is good. So there's a desire to have sex, but then
No, but don't give me examples, like, because I understand that maybe in the actual world there are reasons people have for doing bad things, right? Question is like, why are there any reasons like that?
Yeah, so what would it look like to have beings that are interacting with one another that allow for genuine good choices and showing kindness and love and consideration towards one another, where there wouldn't be the ability to do evil and there would still be freedom? I don't understand. Can you help me break that down?
Hey, man, well said.
Yeah, but wait, but look, are we talking about just the ability? Because I thought I was granting you that like they have like this libertarian option.
Yeah. But the thing is if you're going to make the choice to choose God genuinely free, meaning they genuinely.
The point is about their reasons for doing it. That's fine. That's what I think. So I'm saying that they can take the action.
I got you.
Right. But then there's a separate question about where would any reasons for taking that action arise from? And then there's like, okay.
So there's a difference between people, right? We have to have distinctions. Can't everybody be the same? Okay. And so as soon as you have contrast for identification purposes, to be able to see who people are, right? Just to be able to distinguish from who's who, right? Just having that now.
It exists in the Trinity.
Yeah, I understand. But I'm saying among humans. So God creates humans that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like this structural feature is not going to do much for you.
Well, no, just hear me out. You're just
right. So there's beings that can like self-identify and
they can self-identify that they're not you and you aren't them, and we can all distinguish from each other. Okay, cool. And then we're going to have some sort of physical appearance if we're going to allow for visual apprehension.
Physical and body consciousness. Yeah.
Cool. And then maybe audio, right? If we're going to be talking, if we're going to interact.
We got human body. I'll give you human bodies, bro. I'll see you on.
Cool. And then if you're going to have this idea of procreation, if we're not going to live forever, then you're going to.
I don't know if that was the case before the fall, but
So let's just say you live forever and you're not going to procreate. That's fine. So
that's not what we're talking. Now you're just getting off topic here.
No.
We're talking about what God can create and like.
That's fine. So he can create two types of beings.
You're saying in your view he created beings.
But I'm saying but okay, let's just zoom out for a second. It's going to be either immortal or not immortal, right? The beings. Okay.
Why are you saying these things?
Go. No, I'm just trying to go step by step here. So then you have beings, if we say they're immortal, whatever. That's going to exclude certain things like being able to kill each other, doing stuff like that, which we can talk about that. But let's just say if we're going to have possession, ownership, anything like that, okay, whatever that's going to look like in this kind of world that we're talking about. So if there's going to be, if you can have faith, if you can have,
I don't know why we're introducing a lot of this.
Maybe
Can we get clear on why we're introducing all this stuff?
creating it. Okay, so
Like for example, like God can create a world where there are beings who are physically embodied, right? Where it's just like, I don't know, it's like God makes it a communist utopia. They just have men upon heaven, they're all happy and shit.
okay. Like you just put
I don't really see like so. I don't know why we're like starting to talk about like transitions and stuff like that. It's just like
you're falling from heaven. Dude gets more mana than the other guy. The other guy sees that he has more and he wants out. Now what?
Andrew, again, the point is like, okay, imagine he creates like a lot of really good people, and then they all realize that they're all like very smart, and they're like, oh, like it's okay, like I realize that they're free because this stuff falls from heaven, and I can just get however much fucking man I want because it's all I got without this. It doesn't matter that guy wants.
Okay, we're just gonna.
The point is about expectations, and that you're constantly importing like, you're like, well, what if they did like, what if conditions are really harsh, and then like people are just like that. It's like, okay, but like, why would God make that stuff? The whole point is, if we were just saying He's creating a world, right? And He's gonna make conscious embodied agents, and they're gonna have human bodies, okay. Now I'm just like going from those, like, okay, this is what I'm giving a priori, and we're like, okay, what do we expect this world to look like, And then the picture you're painting is like kind of a tortured picture to try to bring it into line with the actual world. And when I say like, no, but that's like motivated, right? Because the point is that a priori, in prima facie, you just go, the world I would expect on that hypothesis would look like incredible. And I would not expect like 630 billion years of suffering. And I would not expect like, genocides and wars and fucking children being alive. I wouldn't expect any of this. Wouldn't expect it. In fact, I would expect not to find that stuff if I was to go and check this world created by this being. Even if you created beings with free will in that world, even if there was free will, it wouldn't matter.
I think that's just a smooth over anticipation, though. I don't think you can there's going to be various things that people are going to be wanting to do, and I think it's just going to be the nature of existence that they would have that on their plate.
Why do they want to look, Andrew? Do you want to go swim in rock sewage? Do you want to go swim in rock sewage? Do you want to go swim in rock sewage, Andrew?
No, I don't want to do that.
No, you don't, right? You don't. Okay, so why do you just get to say they would want that? Why do you just say they would just want that?
Andrew, let me help him real quick. Let me just put one thing in here.
We're not using analogous examples, though, Sully. I agree with you they don't want sewage, but what about things they do want that aren't?
No, but why would they want to do bad things?
I don't look me up. You're going to bad. What about when they want things that aren't bad but can be, depending on the circumstance? That's the problem. These are things that are not a problem to want, but given the circumstance that you find it in, it can be a problem.
Right, so the particular thing is that. Right, like, look,
the particular
thing is just a word game, man. You're saying, like,
I have to answer your seeking, sir. I've been waiting for like 10 minutes, bro. I have to answer you. Okay, never mind, man. I can appreciate you. So, it's all good, bro. You're my brother anyway. It's all good.
It's the later thing out. Go.
No, he doesn't want to hear, man. He's already.
Go ahead, man. You're just go ahead. I gave you an opportunity to speak before, and you didn't say anything, and now you're talking to him.
No. This is about the particular problem that you keep repeating because you're you weren't expecting. You're missing out one thing, bro.
Go ahead.
You're missing one thing, bro. The serpent. That's what you're missing. I'm just gonna say that.
I already commented on the serpent. The serpent doesn't do anything.
It changes everything. You're adding.
It literally changes nothing. You're just kicking the can down the road to why the serpent did something.
That's right.
No. What?
You're opening up a whole new door that we don't want to.
It's literally just going to be the same thing, but at the level of why did the serpent do something. It's not even a different argument.
No, Sully, you keep asking why is it that these beings in this perfect world would want to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm telling you, there's something you're missing in that whole thing. Was it just that there's the serpent out there enticing them to do that?
Look, the whole point is you build this convoluted mechanism of shit that makes shit inside the cake that the perfect cake baker is making, right? So you have this imagine the perfect cake baker put a Rube Goldberg machine that eventually produces a nugget of shit into the cake, that's also something where I would be like, yeah, I don't expect him to do that. I don't expect this kind of Rube Goldberg fucking, mechanism that, this guy, this fucking Archon sinned first, and then this guy fell, and then, the Indian guy ate this fruit, and, that's why there's...
They did expect Satan. They were warned about Satan. And not only that, there was a tree in the car. Bro, that's a whole bunch of shit you're missing here. But it's all good.
Well, they weren't warned about Satan. They weren't warned.
Yeah, it really makes no difference what the story is.
But that's a problem. If you just don't want to accept it, that's another problem. Then we're just being a dead horse.
The problem is that you already accepted the whole argument.
And so where are they warned about Satan?
That's a good question because we kind of have okay. Let's just say that they were warned. How do I put this?
They told them.
They knew. Let's just say this. They knew about temptation. Let's just add that.
Why?
They knew about temptation because listen, Andrew. They were specifically warned about the tree of life, the tree of the good of knowledge of good and evil. They were specifically warned about that, and they were told, don't touch it. So temptation was already thrown into the mix. They were already tested.
Well, it was in the mix insofar as it was present for them to be tempted by, but they didn't know what temptation was until they experienced it. God just said, don't do this.
No, we're not gonna. I don't agree with you there. But this all good.
Good, but even him saying, don't eat of the fruit. You might say that carries within it temptation because now it's like, do not do it. You might have the desire to go contrary to him, but then Sully's asking why even have the desire? Why is it that they're God's creating beings that will have the desire to go contrary to the good, and why not make it these desires?
I explain that with the fruit because listen, because otherwise they would be robots. God wasn't trying to create robots.
I get that. That's not what he's saying though. Right, God can't.
Exactly what he's saying.
God can't.
He's expecting them to be perfect and just do what they told him. Like a program.
God can't shoot guys. No, is God a robot?
Of course not. What kind of question is that?
Okay, does God only choose good?
But what I'm saying is, why are you trying to put God in the human box?
That's the point.
That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to put God in the human box.
The point is to show that a being can be free, so only choose good.
Again, why are we making God a being? God is above being. God creates beings.
You know what I'm saying, guys?
Well, look, that's a whole other argument. Again, let's not try to put God into the human box. Let's just eliminate that. I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole. The point is,
box. There are similarities between God and humans, though, right?
Yeah, but you're asking why wouldn't God do evil? And who's going to tell God he did evil? Who's going to question God or judge him? What's that?
I'm saying he can't do evil, but he's free. That's my point.
Well, I don't know if he can't do evil because the Bible states, it says, well, you know what, again, that's not something,
the Bible says that God cannot do evil.
Let's just not go into that because that would open up a whole nother can of worms. Let's just not go there. What was I saying? I was saying that, man, forget what the hell I was saying, man.
You ain't saying shit! You ain't saying shit!
It's okay, John! You think the snake is going to solve this for Sully? So
no, what I'm saying is, no, I didn't say it would solve it.
The snake and the serpent is secretly Jesus Christ!
Why? Okay, but he kept asking, why is it that perfect beings would want to do? So I'm saying there was something else involved that he's not that he's just skipping over. There was the serpent. Now, but the serpent had all the powers of Lucifer with him. All of that entails, it wasn't just a little temptation. It wasn't just a small enticement. This was some supernatural, extra powerful shit. And we know all about temptation. I mean, just little things get us going. When we know this shit is wrong, as I was saying before, we do this every day. As human beings, we should be the last people to ask these questions about why would somebody who knows better do wrong. That's the last question we as human beings should be asking.
No, maybe you should read a book and study philosophy, and then you can answer that simple question.
All right, homie, could you need a hug?
Do Hog, and how long are you just going to keep rambling, talking about nothing?
Okay, all right. How about this? How about you hop off my nutsack and just chill out there and let me finish? How about that?
Yes, please stay off his testicles, John.
Please.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Okay, but Stone, so God can create free beings that only choose the good. They don't choose to murder, rape, and do all this horrendous stuff for millions of years or however long, right?
I don't agree with that at all.
Explain why that's not possible to Sully. Go ahead.
Because again, I would just be Sully. You speaking for Sully now? Because again, I would be creating a robot. God is not interested in creating robots. He's interested in creating free human beings that can think and that choose him because it's the right thing to do.
So here's what Sully said. He said, can you create robots when they choose? Can you create humans that when they want to choose to do evil, it makes them smell feces and taste feces, makes them not want to do it? Like,
Yes, you can. Yes, you can, because that's what happens to every single one of us, whether we choose to deny it or accept it. Yeah, that's the case. But over time, we got used to the feces, and we starting to love the feces. That's the problem. That's the problem. We got used to that shit, and we ignore it, and we starting to love it. That's
I agree. I agree, but I think Sully wants to say that it can be so strong that you just won't do it.
Well, it was like that at first, but we might not want it, but nevertheless, they did it. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Why do they want to do it at all, though? Sully wants to say, why do they want to do it at all? Why do they want to sin at all?
Nobody, but again, that's what I'm saying. Sully keeps making these assumptions. Nobody said that. We're not saying that they wanted to do it. That's a whole other argument. Nobody's saying that.
I think we want, hold on. The Bible says sin offers pleasure for a season or whatever. I think it is true. Sin is something we want to do. Why is it pleasurable?
I think I disagree with you there, bro. Sin is God.
You just...
I disagree with you there, bro. Sin is God. It matters. Listen, let me allow me, bro. What sin does, it masquerades as pleasure. It gives this appearance, but it's all a mirage.
But that's the point.
It's all a mirage. It ain't pleasure. So to say sin is not pleasure.
What's a mirage?
It is pleasure.
No, I disagree with you there, bro.
What do you think pleasure is?
It's not sin.
No. Hold on. So if somebody is having an adulterous affair, okay, they can engage in an activity that brings physical pleasure. Now you can say that they're distraught or they have some conviction and some emotional, element there that they're not going to like. Yes, sure. I think that's true, but at least at first. But still, it is pleasurable. So I don't agree. I don't think you can deny that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Everything that's pleasurable about it is not attributed to sin. That's not the pleasurable part. Everything that's good and what you just described, none of it can be attributed to sin.
That's a fair point, Stone. That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point.
You got it.
I think that's a fair point. So I do think the overlap between what makes something good and what makes it evil, the same kind of pleasure that it brings you, that's not the bad part of it. It's the context in which it is.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right. My man Rick Drew coming through in the clutch. About fucking time. Where you been all night?
I was trying to actually develop that. That's exactly what I was trying to develop with Sully when I was telling him, if you have somebody who's eating manna that God is giving them, and the idea of owning anything or having any kind of relations with anybody,
I understand why you're tying those two things together, but having any kind of relation with anybody versus like some super specific thing, like what about property rights? It's just
the reason is because here's the reason, Sully. Is there going to be stuff other than just the beings?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Okay, why do you keep doing it? See, I don't think you like watching.
It's just because I don't know. Like, I wish you would kind of make. Look, we can walk down anything, but can you give me like the trajectory? And I feel like a lot of this stuff is just like goes nowhere.
It's not like I'm trying to walk you down the primrose path.
I think we do that a lot, but man, you should be fair. Because like, if you can just get you. I'll do it. Can you just give me where you're going, and then we'll do it. Like,
where I'm going with this, or at least what I'm thinking, I've thought about this a bit, okay, but there's still some stuff obviously you're smart and I'm willing to, go back and forth on different elements of it. I just think that it is going to become more and more obvious, at least when I thought about this, it becomes more and more obvious that it isn't the case that some utopia kind of world is going to exist, given freedom and beings that interact with one another.
I mean, the point is, like, just imagine that, okay, it can be state of nature or whatever you want, okay? We put a bunch of beings who, are at least close enough to maybe, like, form a community or something, okay? And the resources are, like, there's, like, enough there for them to, like, have a little society, civilization. Like, we don't know what they're going to do, right? And then I tell you, they're all really, really, really good people. And then it's like, okay, what kind of society are we expecting here? And then we go and we look and we're like, oh, it's like a hellscape. And it's like, wow, I didn't expect this. In fact, like, I expected to find them having built like a really nice little peaceful village or something. Like, the point is that, like, it's just, I don't think any of these moves are going to help against this kind of I think it's just one of those things where you have to go, I guess that is just evidence against the hypothesis, and maybe try to, like, say there's more evidence in favor.
Well, I agree with Sully, man. I gotta say I agree with him. I just don't agree with the conclusion he's drawing. But the whole shit about unexpected and that whole example, like I said, I agree 1,000% with that. Sin inexplicable. It's like, where the fuck did it come from? What is this thing? But I mean, the conclusion you're drawing, though, that's evidence of the case against there not being a God. That's where you lose. I don't know what how that lose called.
Well, I just want to say it's unexpected, given just an all good God, just also evil. God's decisions given evil. That's kind of weird, right? But God's decisions to make free creatures.
We're taking the step already. I'm saying, like, you have to give you the free creatures, right? And in virtue of it being their choice, I'm not going to say God is culpable or something like that, right? Like, I'm letting you off.
Exactly, another pointless stream. That's the whole point of the fucking stream, but it's pointless.
Incredibly robustly libertarianly free creatures, right? And even if they have all these options available to them to do evil things, right? I would expect them to be the sorts of creatures, and I would expect the sorts of creatures who just wouldn't choose evil because it would be good. They'd be such good creatures that they would say, I could do that. But why the hell would I do that? That's bad.
How do you exclude that possibility, though, Sully? This is where you're losing me. How can you exclude that? That makes no fucking sense. Because Sully, listen, don't oh my God me.
It's not an exclusion, right? The whole point is that, hey, there's certain, I'm saying, maybe they just turned out bad or something. Maybe they just, they are really good, and, like, even though there's just, like, Andrew just did decide to go swim in the raw sewage tonight, I guess. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm not saying, like, a deductive argument that Andrew can't decide to go do that, but I would be like,
the possibility exists, Sully, please. Does it exist? That possibility?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the whole point of me bringing the free will?
What are we arguing here? There's the possibility exists.
She's saying
we're arguing about evidence.
It's like this, Stone. You're never gonna say, okay, the possibility exists, but you're never going to say, hey, let's get 50 people together and all dead mouths and break each other's arms and slit each other's throats. I mean, yeah, sure, somebody might do that.
Like, no, just there's an easier example. Just like, say you went to a magic show, right? And you're like, and I'm like, okay, is it possible that last magic show, is it possible that one was like actually real magic? And you might be like, yeah, it's possible. I mean, it was still probably just a card trick, like, it's really unlikely that it was real. But I mean, it's possible that one trick was real. Like, shit, no,
No.
Of course it is. Of course it's possible.
Well, people on my YouTube live stream are saying that this is just another pointless live stream about nothing. And I gotta agree, this is a total waste of time as usual.
You guys believe, like,
magical.
I'll let you pursue this. I want to hear Caleb.
I was talking about a magician, so it was
Literally, so I think the issue is going to be uniformity. The uniformity of like our existence.
Come on to there. We're going to
Do your thing, do all the things, and then have a change of heart or a change of mind. And say, you know what? This cat, just hold on. This is in general. This is not specific to the topic that we're discussing. I'm just pointing out how you can hold both of these positions simultaneously.
Okay, this is the Tao book meditation. Yikes! Some people take their religion a little too seriously. I mean, I guess you can't take it serious enough, but you see what I'm saying? Where it's like, they're just having, would you call that logical syllogisms? They're just having like logic arguments about the arrangement of words. I don't know. This is the Tao Te Ching.
I drop this plant in my olive oil. What happens if you drop rosemary leaves in?
It is synonymous with suppleness, adaptability, endurance. Anyone who has seen a Tai Chi or Aikido master doing not doing will know how powerful this softness is. Lao Tzu's central figure is a man or woman whose life is in perfect harmony with the way things are. This is not an idea, it is a reality. I have seen it. The master has mastered nature, not in the sense of conquering it, but of becoming it. In surrendering to the Tao, in giving up all concepts, judgments, and desires, her mind has grown naturally compassionate. She finds, deep in her own experience, the central truths of the art of living, which are paradoxical only on the surface. That the more truly solitary we are, the more compassionate we can be. The more we let go of what we love, the more present our love becomes. The clearer our insight into what is beyond good and evil, the more we can embody the good. Until finally she is able to say, in all humility, I am the Tao, the truth, the life. The teaching of the Tao Te Ching is moral in the deepest sense. Unencumbered by any concept of sin, the master doesn't see evil as a force to resist, but simply as an opaqueness, a state of self-absorption, which is in disharmony with the universal process, so that, as with a dirty window, the light can't shine through. This freedom from all categories allows him his great compassion for the wicked and the selfish. Thus, the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man, a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. The listener will notice that in the many passages where Lao Tzu describes the master, I've used the pronoun she at least as often as he. The Chinese language doesn't make this kind of distinction. In English, we have to choose. But since we are all potentially the master, since the master is essentially us, I felt it would be untrue to present a male archetype, as other versions have ironically done. Ironically, because of all the great world religions, the teaching of Lao Tzu is by far the most female. Of course, you should feel free throughout the recording to substitute he for she, or vice versa. As to method, I work from Paul Paris' literal version, which provides English equivalents, often very quaint ones, alongside each of the Chinese ideograms. I also consulted dozens of translations into English, German, and French. But the most essential preparation for my work was a 14 years long course of Zen training, which brought me face to face with Lao Tzu and his true disciples and heirs, the early Chinese Zen masters. With great poetry, the freest translation is sometimes the most faithful. We must try its effect as an English poem, Dr. Johnson said. That is the way to judge of the merit of a translation. I have often been fairly literal, or as literal as one can be with such a subtle, kaleidoscopic book as the Tao Te Ching. But I have also paraphrased, expanded, contracted, interpreted, worked with the text, played with it, until it became embodied in a language that felt genuine to me. If I haven't always translated Lao Tzu's words, my intention has always been to translate his mind. Describing the indescribable, teaching the unteachable, pointing the way to the way. What does Lao Tzu think he is doing here? It can't be done. No way. Hence, Po Chu-yi, poet and stand-up comedian, wrote, "He who talks doesn't know, he who knows doesn't talk." That is what Lao Tzu told us in a book of 5,000 words. If he was the one who knew, how could he have been such a blabbermouth? That's the problem with spiritual teachers. They have to be blabbermouths. But their words are, in a traditional Buddhist metaphor, fingers pointing at the moon. If you watch the finger, you can't see the moon. How meticulous the great masters had to be. A monk asked Matsu, "Why do you teach mind is Buddha?" Matsu said, "To stop a baby from crying." The monk said, "When the crying has stopped, what then?" Matsu said, "Then I teach, not mind, not Buddha." The monk said, "How about someone who isn't attached to either?" Matsu said, "I would tell him, not beings." The monk said, "And what if you met a man unattached to all things? What would you tell him?" Matsu said, "I would just let him experience the great Tao." In fact, the truth is right before our eyes, right under our noses. So simple that every child understands it. And yet, as Bankei said, the farther you enter into it, the deeper it is. Where is the way to the way? What a question. Still, for complicated minds, drastic measures are needed. Lao Tzu's book was written as a response out of grandmotherly kindness. According to the oldest biography, Lao Tzu lived for a long time in the country of Chu, but seeing its decline, he departed. When he reached the frontier, the guard said, "Since you are going away, sir, could you write a book to teach me the art of living?" Thereupon, Lao Tzu wrote his book about the Tao and departed. This is legend, but it is an accurate description of the way in which true teaching happens. He who knows doesn't talk, but words are no hindrance for him. He uses them as he would use gardening tools. When someone asks, he answers. Tao Te Ching. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness. awareness, the gateway to all understanding. 2. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. 3. If you overesteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. The master leads by emptying people's minds and filling their cores, by weakening their ambition and toughening their resolve. He helps people lose everything they know, everything they desire, and creates confusion in those who think that they know. Practice not doing, and everything will fall into place. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother. Empty, yet inexhaustible. It gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. 7. The Tao is infinite, eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself, thus it is present for all beings. The Master stays behind. That is why she is ahead. She is detached from all things. That is why she is one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. 8. The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus, it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing. Having without possessing. Acting with no expectations. Leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue. 11. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. 12. Colors blind the eye. Sounds deafen the ear. Flavors numb the taste. Thoughts weaken the mind. Desires wither the heart. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open as the sky. 13. Success is as dangerous as failure. Success is as dangerous as failure. Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are.
If I could just make my point.
Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. 14. Look, and it can't be seen. Listen, and it can't be heard. Reach, and it can't be grasped. Above, it isn't bright. Below, it isn't dark. Seamless, unnameable, it returns to the realm of nothing. Form that includes all forms. Image without an image. Subtle, beyond all conception. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it. At ease in your own life. Just realize where you come from. This is the essence of wisdom. 15. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can describe is their appearance. Careful as someone crossing an iced-over stream. Alert as a warrior in enemy territory. Courteous as a guest. Fluid as melting ice. Shapeable as a block of wood. Receptive as a valley. Clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment. Not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. 16. Empty your mind of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't realize the source, you stumble in confusion and sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, dignified as a king. immersed in the wonder of the Tao, you can deal with whatever life brings you. And when death comes, you are ready. 17. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it, all by ourselves." 18. When the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When a country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. 19. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these three aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. 20. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited, as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about, like someone without a home. I am like an idiot, my mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharp. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the great mother's breasts. 21. The master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her her radiance. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. It is beyond is and is not. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked.
ForCongress.com.
If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. 23. Express yourself completely, then keep quiet. Be like the forces of nature. When it blows, there is only wind. When it rains, there is only rain. When the clouds pass, the sun shines through. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao, and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. 24. He who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is. He who has power over others can't empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. If you to accord with the Tao, just do your job and let go. 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things, inside and outside, and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great. The universe is great. Earth is great. Man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows the earth. Earth follows the universe. The universe follows the Tao. The Tao follows only itself. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. 27. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He's ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. 28. Know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed from your mind, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus she can use all things. 29. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. The world is sacred. It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. There is a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The master sees things as they are, without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way, and resides at the center of the circle. 30. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force, there is a violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. The master does his job and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. 31. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them, except in the direst necessity, and if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle gravely, with sorrow, and with great compassion, as if he were attending a funeral. 32. The Tao can't be perceived. Smaller than an electron, it contains uncountable galaxies. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. When you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. When you have institutions, know where their functions should end. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. All things end in the Tao, as rivers flow into the sea. 33. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center, embrace death with your whole heart, you will endure forever. 34. The great Tao flows everywhere. All things are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. It pours itself into its work, yet it makes no claim. It nourishes infinite worlds, yet it doesn't hold on to them. Since it is merged with all things and hidden in their hearts, it can be called humble. Since all things vanish into it, and it alone endures, it can be called great. It isn't aware of its greatness. Thus, it is truly great. 35. She who is centered in the Tao can go where she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony, even amid great pain, because she has found peace in her heart. Music or the smell of good cooking may make people stop and enjoy, but words that point to the Tao seem monotonous and without flavor. When you look for it, there is nothing to see. When you listen for it,
Candidate Congressman
there's nothing to hear.
reading poetry.
When you use it, it is inexhaustible. 36. If you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand. If you want to get rid of something, you must first allow it to flourish. If you want to take something, you must first allow it to be given. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. 37. The Tao never does anything, yet through it all things are done. If powerful men and women could center themselves in it, the whole world would be transformed by itself in its natural rhythms. People would be content with their simple, everyday lives, in harmony and free of desire. When there is no desire, all things are at peace. 38. The master doesn't try to be powerful. Thus, he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power. Thus, he never has enough. The master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more are left to be done. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. The just man does something, and leaves many things to be done. The moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. Therefore, the master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface, with the fruit and not the flower. He has no will of his own. He dwells in reality and lets all illusions go.
Slave in a special amount.
39. In harmony with the Tao, the sky is clear and spacious. The earth is solid and full. All creatures flourish together, content with the way they are, endlessly repeating themselves, endlessly renewed. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy. The earth becomes depleted. The equilibrium crumbles. creatures become extinct. The master views the parts with compassion because he understands the whole. His constant practice is humility. He doesn't glitter like a jewel, but lets himself be shaped by the Tao, as rugged and common as a stone. 40. Return is the movement of the Tao. Yielding is the way of the Tao. All things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. 41. When a superior man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to embody. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it, half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If he didn't laugh, it wouldn't be the Tao. Thus it is said, the path into the light seems dark. The path forward seems to go back. The direct path seems long. True power seems weak. True purity seems tarnished. True steadfastness seems changeable. True clarity seems obscure. The greatest art seems unsophisticated. The greatest love seems indifferent. The greatest wisdom seems childish. The Tao is nowhere to be found, yet it nourishes and completes all things. 42. The Tao gives birth to one. One gives birth to two. Two gives birth to three. Three gives birth to all things. All things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Ordinary men hate solitude, but the master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. 43. The gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That which has no substance enters where there is no space. This shows the value of non-action. Teaching without words, performing without actions. That is the master way. 44. Fame or integrity? Which is more important? Money or happiness? Which is more valuable? Success or failure? Which is more destructive? If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. 45. True perfection seems imperfect, yet it is perfectly itself. True fullness seems empty, yet it is fully present. True straightness seems crooked. True wisdom seems foolish. True art seems artless. The Master allows things to happen. She shapes events as they come. She steps out of the way and lets the Tao speak for itself. 46. When a country is in harmony with the Tao, the factories make trucks and tractors. When a country goes counter to the Tao, more heads are stockpiled outside the cities. There is no greater illusion than fear, no greater wrong than preparing to defend yourself, no greater misfortune than having an enemy. Whoever can see through all fear will always be safe. 47. Without opening your door, you can open your heart to the world. Without looking out your window, you can see the essence of the Tao. The more you know, the less you understand. The Master arrives without leaving, sees the light without looking, achieves without doing a thing. 48. In the pursuit of knowledge,